Welcome to the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm Rick Hanson, and we will be talking about living, not dying. We're all in this adventure together, and we will be interviewing people who inspire us to live our best lives. People with various backgrounds who will walk us down the trails they took to not die rusty. Adventure in life are many things to many people. It could be a sprint or an endurance race, but with each adventure, we become a better version of us. We hope you keep chasing those dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty. Well, hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. I don't know what it is with me or technology or whatever is going on here, but we could hear Dave, but we couldn't hear Annie from last week's recording. So, you know what? I am so lucky to have people that will come back because either they like Don't Die Rusty, or maybe it's my blazing personality, or maybe they're just gullible. I don't know, but I'm happy that they come back on. And this week's episode is with Dave and Annie Frey from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they came out and had a DDR experience weekend. And I'm going to keep the energy up from what we had last weekend, and you better too. So introduce yourselves, if you would, a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm Dave Frey, and like you said, we're from Sioux Falls, and I've been listening to your podcast ever since the beginning, pretty much, and just love what you do and love what you have to say here, and I love your guests too. So, yeah.
And I'm the wife. I'm Annie, and homeschooling mama, 5 boys, and married to this guy. He definitely is not going to die rusty. He's keeping me on my toes. Introduced me to Rick, and now I'm hooked. So, yeah.
Well, you know, when we were texting back and forth after my mishap this morning, when I started editing and listening, and, you know, I told Dave, I said, I don't know if you want the knowledge that you are family or not, because, you know, sometimes you don't want those people that are in your family, you know what I mean, every once in a while. So I'm just telling you, you're part of the Don't Die Rusty family now, so you're in trouble.
Yep, I think we'll keep you, Rick.
We did stay at your house, and we did eat steak at 4:30 in the morning with you and climb a mountain. So I think we're qualified. We're solid.
Yeah, well, good. I love hearing that, because, you know, and it's interesting because Dave and I talked at TAC. It's funny, you text me, we haven't got the website up yet, but you text me, do you have any merch? And I brought some merch up to TAC, and we talked in the sheep feet booth, and that was interesting. And I said, hey, you know, if you ever want to come out and climb Crow Peak and go looking for animals, come on out. And you did.
We sure did. Yeah, you gave me a time frame to be out there, and I've made it happen. You know, I think I had one weekend in August that would work for us, and we just made it happen. So, yeah.
Mind you, I found out last minute we were going to some stranger podcast host's house to do some wild, crazy things. But, you know, I was excited for it, and I'm so glad we did it. It was worth it. So,
you know, I find it fun to have the conversations we have, but, you know, you guys got to see the whole DDR experience for a weekend with me, you know, that I try to explain how I try to live life, but it's fun to have people come out and see it. And for you guys to get out here, I loved it when I called you guys and we were talking, and you said, well, there's one other thing we have to do. And everybody knows that it's my kryptonite, but we did go to Leon's and have ice cream.
Yep.
Twice actually.
Yep.
But it was fun to, it was fun to have Annie out here, because I get to see. I love watching couples. I love watching the little things, and that was fun. We got up. We got up really early on Saturday. Not and not as early as we did on
It wasn't
Sunday,
terribly early
but
on
we got
Saturday.
up. No, but we got up early. We had steaks. I cooked them, and as you guys said, it's hard for me to cook a steak that's medium rare, or rarer, or yeah,
Yeah,
but I did that for you guys.
you, you did an excellent job, Rick. I didn't quite
Well,
expect the steak as good as you cooked it, and you took what I said and you made me a really good medium rare steak. So I appreciate that.
that was good, I mean, but and then we got in the vehicle. We had our breakfast. We took off. We were going to a 3D shoot in Mallow Camp. You got to shoot in Wyoming. But on our way down, we got to see sunrises. We got to see wildflowers. We got to see all kinds of things and have such wonderful conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were out looking for elk, but we were also out looking for sunrises and just any kind of outdoor experience that we could have. And you know exactly where to take the good pictures too. We stopped at a couple of really nice places and got some really good pictures of sunrises and the flowers too.
I just wanted to mention the cows. I know there's a lot of cows and people are used to seeing cows, but there was a lot of cows. And with the sunrise in the background and the grassy fields, it was just, they were gorgeous. Just in their natural habitat. And
Yeah, and you got some great
I
pictures
did.
because I was driving. I didn't get as many pictures as you did, and I love the pictures you took and the videos you took, but you know that's Don't Die Rusty. That's seeing all the little things, and you coming along, and Dave coming along, and seeing, like, I mean, it was funny this morning. Even when I got up, you never know what you're going to see, and that's the best part of. That's why I love mornings, and so many people don't. It was so fun to have you guys get up in the morning and go for this, and then then we went down to went to the 3D shoot, and as we're going down, we're talking about life. We're talking about Don't Die Rusty. We're talking about living our best life, and I say, Jiminy Cripes, 5 boys in your house. That's
We say
amazing.
that a lot too.
Yeah,
you know,
we
uh,
we've got 5 boys. 2 of them have already left the house here. One of them's married, and the other one, we moved out to Sioux Falls in October, and he was bound and determined to get back to Minnesota. So he moved back to Minnesota.
As soon as he graduated, about 2 weeks after he graduated. Yeah.
really, back to Minnesota. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Well, we came,
I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but
we came country town and
no.
that was their life. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I understand going back. Like, I see that, but I'm partial to the West.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I see, actually, Dave has 5 boys, but you have 6, right,
That's
Annie?
right.
Yeah. You got to keep Dave in line too.
I do. This guy's got a lot of hobbies.
so then we get to Mallow Camp, and you meet some other Don't Die Rusty fellas, and Ben Hoxie, Desi Hoxie, and Brad, and it was just great, because the shoot was a little long, but like we talked, it was fun because you got to know other people too,
Yeah.
and you get to see these are the people that, I mean, Ben and Desi and I and their son went on an adventure moose hunting, but these are good people, and they are living life to their fullest too, and it's great. And I was happy that you guys got to see these guys in the element, and we had to wait a long time in the beginning, and then things started working out, and I'm going to go here one last time, but Annie was keeping score, so Dave beat me.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Well, she didn't bring her bow, so she was the scorekeeper, and I told her to make sure she favors me on the score. So
I thought I was going to be a help, and now I know who's going to pay out better. So we'll work on that next time. No,
So,
we were so happy to meet your friends. It was, we met you and we hit it off right away, and we just realized that we felt we had been friends for a long time. Like, it was just very easy. We met them, took a little bit of time to warm up, and then we just realized they're awesome people. They are genuine. They were out just to have fun. We waited in line forever and ever, and it was just good conversation without a lot of complaining and just enjoying the outdoors. It was awesome. And
yeah, and the time that we spent there too. I mean, it was supposed to only be a 2 to 2.5 hour shoot, and it ended up being like 4.5 hours we were there, and just the extra conversation that we got to have. I think it really it was a good thing, because like you say, it takes a little while to warm up to somebody, and once you do, you just start opening up and having really good conversation. So.
Well, it was just nice being around other people that felt the same. Like, hey, we're going to make the best of this. This is not the way we wanted it. We're supposed to be, other places in an amount of time, but that's where we were, and we all made the best of it. That was pretty cool.
And the one thing I want to say is, like, you just said Brad, but I want to say Brad Jones. And the other thing, because I don't want to leave him out, he shoots a trad bow. He's a little slower than the rest of us, but that's all right, because I know he'll be listening.
He was
so I wanted to say that.
a fun guy to be around. He was funny. He had a positive attitude, and he'd make fun of himself and have a great time no matter what. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yes, he's an awesome fella. When I climbed my 100, he came up with me one time. So it's always fun to be around Brad too. But I like what you said when the funny thing is, when you guys got here on Friday night, it was boom, and is like we knew each other forever, and we just hopped in the vehicle and we went out for supper, and we went to Leon's, and there was nonstop conversation, and it was like, heck, we've known each other forever, and you just got here and you didn't even know who the hell this guy was.
Well, I do have to hand it to you, Rick, because I kind of knew how you I knew you from the podcast, but you didn't know me as well. So yeah, we just meshed really well.
I think we are like-minded, and I think that's what really meshed well, was we both just are seeking adventure and wanting to just live life to the fullest, and it clashed well.
And and every time, well, not every time, but a lot of times when I talk about people's, and I like seeing the little things, and the little things, we talked about this before, but the things that I really liked is watching your relationship, because I think people could learn from you guys. I truly do, because I love how you talk to Dave and how Dave talked to you when we were shooting, like, great shot, babe. You were awesome in that part, and I don't see that a lot. We talked about this, like, a lot of couples, you guys are married 20 years right now, right?
20 years, yeah.
And by that time, sometimes you see that little bickering that goes on. I love how you're just supporting both are supporting each other, and I got to see that firsthand, and it makes me happy, because in this day and age, for couples to support each other like you do, that was amazing. Even though you might have put like a Rick had one more 5 or something like that. But anyway, that's besides the point. And no, I loved you keeping score. That's all. I'd hate keeping score.
Yep.
I only wrote down what people told me, so you can take it up with everyone else.
Yeah.
But it's true. And how do you guys, how do you guys keep this relationship like that?
Well, it hasn't been easy the whole time, and I think that going through some of the harder times and working through it and coming out on the other end of it, it almost makes our relationship stronger. The longer that we're together, and just being able to work through those things.
Well, like when you say work through it, not give up. Like we have been really low many times, and it's been very hard raising, 5 kids and losing us in the mix. And, life is like a roller coaster. It can get really, really low, and then it just gets better if you just stick it out and have forgiveness and understanding. And I'm not perfect, he's not perfect, but we're just 2 people coming together, 2 imperfect people coming together to make this work. And if you can both acknowledge that neither one of us are perfect, then I think that it just kind of works out in the end, because no one's higher than the other person.
Yeah, and just being genuine and real with each other. I see a lot of couples out there, and they're hiding something from each other, or they're just not truthful with the relationship. And that's something that we've always done, is try to be truthful with our relationship as we've gone through our marriage. And it really helps to just be honest and truthful.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it does. And also kind of studying your spouse and finding out what their strengths and weaknesses are, what they thrive off of, like just their gifts that they, do they like, what am I trying to say? Some people like more attention, some people like more touch, some people like gifts, some people like compliments. Just kind of figuring each other out and making sure to go out of your way to do those things for the other person and being selfless.
and she's better at it than I am.
I'm female.
Well, I liked what you said when, you guys came out, just you 2, so you had your alone time away from the kids, because I don't know where it was either I don't know where I've read this, and it's always affected me, is you 2 made the 5 kids. That's where this whole thing started. You know what I mean? And you got to keep that relationship lively too, because you can't, they came from your relationship. And I like how to keep that relationship going, you have to go do things alone, or you got to support that other person. And I love what you guys are doing. You don't do, and we talked about this, you don't do everything alone, but you have to make that time for each other. And the trip out here from Sioux Falls, you guys are in the vehicle alone. There's no other person to talk to unless, and I've always told Cindy, the only other way to get out of that conversation is jump out the door, but I don't think you're going to do that at 70 miles an hour or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's 80 miles an hour out to Spearfish.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, we've always made that a priority of getting away alone, even when our kids were babies, a couple months old, and we had great grandparents that we trusted. And I don't know why we were brave enough to leave our kids, but maybe just because we trusted our, my in-laws and my parents and stuff to watch the children. But it was always a priority for us to get away. I think we went away almost every year somewhere. Yeah, it didn't have to be a huge place, but we always got away alone. And it just, once we learned how refreshing that was, and we'd look at each other and we'd be like, we haven't fought and or argued in 2 days, and we'd realize that a lot of it was money and kids, and just to get away from that reality and just be alone for a little bit was really a refreshing thing for our marriage. And then we came back just all full of energy and, continuing on with our parenting journey. And I just really recommend that for anybody that can. It doesn't have to be anywhere amazing, but just that alone time for, 2 days, 3 days does a lot to refresh.
Well, and it's really refreshing to me because I see a lot of people that don't do that stuff. And I'm very, like I said, I look at the little things, and it's not little, but I think that people overlook, I should say maybe overlook those things when because I watch you watch, I mean, that's just one of the things I do is watch people and say, what can I learn from him? And that was one. And I like that, like, you can go on your adventures, because when I go hunting or I go on an adventure up by myself, I come home with energy for Cindy. You realize what you have at home, I guess is what I should say. And it's not, it's like I have this energy to, let's go on an adventure together somewhere for us after I get home from a venture when I'm by myself. Or there's sometimes when I come off of Crow Peak and I saw this most wonderful sight, and that's only 4 hours. And, I mean, if I drive out there, if I take my time or whatever, it's 3 to 4 hours. But I'm saying I have energy, like, let's go do something for the rest of the day. And I love seeing you guys do that. And I don't think there's a lot of couples that understand that kind of stuff, because the biggest thing that I saw, and I compared it to me, is I saw that you guys had trust in each other. Like, that is the best thing in the world to see from 30,000 feet or wherever, because that's how Cindy and my relationship are, is the trust builds the relationship. That, to me, that's the foundation of your relationship, is trust. And like the trust in each other in your conversations and stuff was very awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Comes with trial and error and time.
And that's kind of what I was saying with just being honest with each other. You have to trust each other and be honest with each other at the same time. But
yeah,
and you had mentioned, you go out on a hunting trip or something like that. I just went to Alaska a few weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago, and I was up there for 9-10 days, and when I come back, our relationship, we just miss each other so much, and our relationship is just, it's almost like a high for the next couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, that you've got, because you just miss each other so much.
Well, I think that that's important. Like, we've always done something together, but you always do your things too, and having that balance. And then we go do things with the kids as well. Like, I'm assuming the next time we come out to see you, we'll probably bring the kids, and we've talked about that. There's a balance between getting to do your own personal things, going together, bringing the kids. I think they're just all priorities, but the balance is important.
And that's I believe that too, which is also interesting, because I got a week to think about this stuff, and I'm so proud of the podcast, but I'm proud of you guys too, with the Justin Nault, and how I was talking about myself going through a lethargic time, not being the Rick I know I am, and trying to learn how to be better, trying to be the best person, trying to feel better, and to learn that you guys have went on a health journey too, it's amazing to watch that as a couple, as well as, just, it makes me proud, and is so fun to see.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of your podcasts that kind of led up to at least my health journey. And Annie started her health journey a few months before I did, and I was just wasn't, my mind just wasn't there, and it wasn't until I listened to the Justin Null podcast that you did, and something just clicked with me. And Annie was kind of doing that same nutrition plan, and I sent her the podcast, and I said, you got to listen to this guy. He sounds like what you're doing. And she did. And I mean, I sent it to her immediately when I got done listening to it. And by the time I got home that day, she had already listened to it. And I was like, wow, you actually did it. And she's like, yeah, this guy is legit. That's what I'm doing basically. And I think Justin has a little bit better program than what she was on. So we kind of switched a little bit of gears, and we started his nutrition plan as best we can. I listened to a lot of his podcasts, and I think on your podcast, he said I have 300 hours of podcasts you can go listen to, and it's all in there. So I started listening to that podcast, and I don't even know where I'm at on it, but I've listened to many hours of it, and just kind of picking apart what he says on nutrition and applying it into my own diet. It really worked for us. I mean, I lost over 50 pounds by just switching my nutrition. I'm not working out at all. I walk every day or almost every day, but that's the extent of what I've been doing for working out. It's amazing that just nutrition can change your body so much, and just feeding your cells in your body changes so much. I started this about somewhere in end of March, and by the time TAC rolled around, I was literally running up the mountain and chasing my arrows, going to the next target. I just couldn't believe that I wasn't being winded like I was just a few months ago. I mean, I was carrying around an extra 50 pounds, and plus I wasn't even healthy. And it's so amazing just what nutrition does to your body. I just can't believe it. But I just don't think that would have happened without listening to a podcast like yours. You got such a good podcast, and a good foundation for the podcast. And then on top of it, there's another guy out there that's going through the same thing that I am with just being disgusted with how I'm feeling about my body. And it was time for a change.
I think the getting healthy part and losing weight helped you to be more adventurous and to want to be out there more and to go do those cool things, which, living life and being the best you and being healthy enough to go do those adventures. I think that's the coolest thing that came out of it. Yeah. I feel like we never would have been able to do what we did with you a few months ago.
And I've always been adventurous, yes. But just to get up off the couch and go do it is the hard part. And when you don't feel good to go do it either, it doesn't help anything.
No, because you make up excuses to go, because when you don't feel good. And I put this out there because I want people to either have the conversation or see how I'm going, because I'm to that 30 pounds myself. And I told Cindy today, I said, you look at this 6-7 months ago, I wouldn't feel like I did when I came off of Crow Peak this morning, because my leg body would hurt and stuff. And it's interesting when you go through the health getting healthier process is when you start eating whole foods, when you start eating real foods like whole vegetables and whole meat. I mean, not that we didn't eat whole meat because we're hunters and stuff, but how your body starts, like that first time you gotta want to do it. Because I told you, like, I probably won't eat asparagus for a while, but it was because my body's just like, at that point when I was doing that, my body's just saying enough is enough. I want some processed food, and I wouldn't give it at processed food. And now I have no pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told people I have torn meniscus, I have arthritis in my knees, and Dr. Ray Jensen just is like shaking his head like, this is amazing stuff. And Melissa Aberley, my functional doctor, she's going, I can't believe this stuff but it's also doing, you're eating right, you're exercising, you're cold plunging. I believe in that. I doing saunas, all that stuff, and I've just become a better person for myself, which leads me to more adventures, which gives you more goals, which gives you all kinds of stuff. And I don't know about you guys, and if you notice this, because I'm just thought of this, but like I was cranky.
Yeah.
Because when I wasn't doing this, I was in a bad mood because I just didn't feel good. So that's also helped my relationship with Cindy too, in the fact that I'm not cranky like I was. Those little
Yeah.
things that just irritate, that just kind of keep on,
Yeah.
just like that burr under a saddle or that rock in your shoe or something. I don't know, but I'm not that way. I just am happier. I'm a better person.
Yeah. You want to get up and you want to do something, whether it's for your wife or your kids or whatever. It's like before I would just sit on the couch, or I'd be a little bit more lazy, and the kids would come in and they would say, "Hey, Dad, you want to go fishing, or do you want to just do something simple?" And I'd just make an excuse and say no, and now it's like, yeah, let's go do it. I feel a lot better to be able to do that.
I think we've noticed a difference in us too. Like I just told him today, I said, I feel like we're always grilling. We're always cooking. Now we're just constantly making good proteins and we're doing it together. And it's fun, and we enjoy doing it. And now we're just constantly we go on walks morning, we go on walks in the evening. We're getting up early now and we're going out before work. We just never would have wanted to do that before. Now we have all this motivation because we know how we feel, and it's just nice that we're doing it together, I guess.
It is, and I love seeing that. I mean, I love that we had got to experience that together out here, and the steaks in the morning and the exercise. And so I'm going to kind of go in a different direction here. So we went to Custer, and I'm going to get back to the DDR
Yep,
experience.
we didn't finish that
And we went to Custer. No, and I was having trouble. I'm embarrassed people out there that know me, because I love elk, and we were not seeing elk, and we were seeing all kinds of other things, and we were driving through the hills, and I have to admit that I took you on a few little hikes, which I was hoping that we might see something, but we didn't. But they were pretty hikes.
Yeah, sure were.
I mean, they were short, but they were pretty. And then we finally, just about to the end, we see a bunch of elk. So that was awesome.
Yep.
And so it was a long day.
Yeah, not only did we see one herd, but we saw 3 herds.
Yes, and that's awesome. That finally I felt like I was complete.
Yeah, I think we had already given up by that point.
I'll tell you, I gave up on
so.
wearing my seatbelt. I kept putting it on and off, and it was just a bumpy ride. It was insane. I'd put it on for safety, and then I was locking in my seatbelt the whole time, so I'd take it off, and that was the back seat. I don't know what you guys were feeling in the front seat.
I was feeling disappointment is what I was feeling. Like I promised him I'd find him some elk, and I haven't seen nothing. But it was a fun long day with good conversations. I was walking up to the second pond, and you guys getting to see that area, and our conversations and the fresh air, and like I said, by the time we got done with the second pond, I was getting tired, and luckily we had a gate opener, Annie, so we didn't have to get out and do any of that stuff. And we could make fun of him, like hoping he didn't close the gate on him on the wrong side of the fence and stuff like that, and
I've closed enough gates to know which side of the fence to be on by now.
But it was and then we got down the canyon, and you spotted the mountain goat way up on the side of the hill, which was awesome. And we stopped and watched that, and we get to spearfish. We have Leon's for supper because we were all doggone tired.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to bed. We get up at 3:30, I think it was 3:30
3:15,
in the
I think.
morning
Yeah.
then. 3:50, yeah. And you know, after you tell me this, Annie, that you're scared of heights, and to I love that we had the conversations up, because that's my Sunday church. Climbing that mountain is my church, and we get there and we're walking in the head with the headlamps on, and we're getting to the top, and even though the smokes was coming in, you got to experience what I get to experience on a regular day, like that's my regular thing to go do. And for me to be able to share that with cool people, and you know what it makes me happier is that you guys took it in. Like, I that that picture I took of you guys looking off in the sun, that I sent you,
Yep.
it's in, and if anybody looks at that reel that I did last week, it's the last picture on my reel. That made me feel like they get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that moment was just beautiful up there. Like you say, the smoke came in and kind of blocked a little bit of the sun for pictures, but we got to see the sunrise, and we got to see that it was almost a full moon. I think the day before was a full moon, and
Yeah.
that moon was out and it was vibrant, and it wasn't necessarily lighting the path because our headlights were lighting the path for us, but it was just neat seeing that, being up that early and seeing the moon, and then you get to the top of the mountain, and Rick, you just know exactly when to leave, because we got up there right, about 5 minutes before the sunrise came up, and we just got to experience that whole moment of being up there, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole way up was cool. It was all different terrain. I was taking it all in. I mean, I didn't look out very much because it made me kind of dizzy because it was so dark and we just had the headlamps, but the light started coming out a little bit, and then it was like grassy, then it was sandy, and then it was like all rocks, and then it was super steep, and then we'd go down, and it was just crazy. And we've been hiking before, but that must have been like Minnesota hiking. I didn't know how cool it could be and how thrilling it could be to be so close to the edge and on a tight trail and then a steep spot and then different terrain, and and then to get to the top. I don't think I've ever been that high before either, and just the reward you get in the end after all the beautiful things you saw up on the way, or ever gotten up that early and done a hike
Yeah.
either. So that was also exciting.
I've been on a lot of mountains before, and I've been at the summit of a lot of mountains, or not a lot of mountains, but a couple of them. But I don't think I've ever hiked to the top of a mountain, and that was really neat to be able to do that, and do it with Annie and do it with you, and
You were more excited to do it with Rick. He's been talking about it ever since he watched your first podcast.
yeah, well, and we actually did make an attempt to go out there and climb Crow Peak. So when we moved to South Dakota in October, we had about a week that we were homeless, basically. We sold our house in Minnesota, and we were buying a house in South Dakota, and there was a week where we were homeless, and I said, well, let's go out to the Black Hills. We're moving to South Dakota. Let's go experience the Black Hills. And we got out to, we went to the Badlands and a few things like that. And we got out to spearfish finally. And we were driving up to Crow Peak, and the rain just started coming down, and we got parked at the parking lot, and we're getting our stuff out, and it's getting a little bit heavier, and I think we made it about, I don't know, 150 yards up the trail, and I just looked at everybody and I said, this isn't going to work. We're not going to make it. and so we had to turn around and we didn't get to do it. So it was super exciting that you invited us out and we were able to actually climb it.
And it was exciting too, because when we got up to the top, I told you where some really cool pictures are, and we took them after we got to the top. But those two young girls that were up there just enjoying it too, and that gave me hope for the millennial generation. I think we're still in a millennial generation, but they were just enjoying it themselves, like being little schoolgirls and laughing and giggling, and they took our pictures and they were enjoying what they had, even though they weren't really dressed for hiking. At least they made it to the top.
Yeah, I was surprised they even beat you up there, Rick.
Yeah. They were there before. Yeah, and they definitely
I know, that surprised the heck out of me.
They definitely weren't dressed for hunting. I mean, given their outfits and their boots and their, I don't know, we like got hiking shoes, and you had your hiking sticks, and yeah, they just were out there, which as parents of teenagers, that was very encouraging to see that these girls just, that's all they wanted to do, get up at 3 a.m. and go climb a mountain.
And that was fun to see. And then we start coming down the mountain, and then I have to pee, and then Annie took the lead.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys let me in front, but you're lucky we made it off the mountain.
Yeah, Annie sometimes has trouble finding her car in the parking lot. But
yeah.
Well, there was actually one way out, so we were good there. But the other interesting thing is, it's funny how some days you never see anybody, and all of a sudden everybody's just like coming up the mountain, and that was interesting too. But it was fun to have you guys there, and like I said, have the sun come up and learn the freedom that the freedom that we feel, the views that and I know you're going to come back out again, and hopefully we don't have smoke in the air, so you get to see these or clouds for sure. I mean, I like clouds, but I don't like it's so foggy that you can't, or cloudy that you can't see anything. But to come and see, because I say that this is one of the most wonderful views in the Black Hills, because I honestly believe it beats Harney Peak or Black Elk and a lot of other views in the hills. And I want you to be able to see the grandeur of this place.
Well, we definitely did. Even though it was hazy, I could still see the layers of the mountains and the depth of how far we could see, and the height and the different hills and mountains. It was still just so breathtaking. And I remember us talking and just thinking, all these people out there sleeping, they're not even awake. And we're just out here enjoying this absolutely gorgeous view that we worked so hard for. It was a cool feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned those people that were coming up too that we met on the way down, and it's kind of funny. As soon as we started down, there was a guy that was just making the summit, and he asked, did you make it for the sunrise? And we said, yeah, we did, and he said, oh, I just missed it, And the next group that we met, they asked us, did you see the sunrise? And we said, yeah, we did. And oh, we just missed it. And I think it was even the next group asked us if we saw the sunrise, and everybody knows that the sunrise is beautiful at the top, but you got to get out of bed to go see it. And if you're not on time, you're not gonna make it. So
no, and so I've pushed it hard a few times where the sun was just coming over the horizon, and I said, I need to be up here and sit and be prepared and take it in before it does that. And so that's why we get up early and we go. And those girls are the first people to beat me in a long time, which maybe they hadn't slept that night. Who knows?
At least they were younger than you.
No, but that's right. And they started earlier than us. They, so that yeah. But, and then, we get to the vehicle, and it's funny because I ask Dave what size shoes he wears, and you're going, what are you talking about? And
I said 12 and you said
we're
perfect.
going to do a cold plunge.
You said perfect. That was it. Well, that was an odd question.
Well, we're going to go jump in the creek and do a cold plunge. And then Annie says, well, I'm going to do it too. I thought, well, thank you, because now we'll have to figure out how to video this thing, but it was awesome because we came back here, changed shoes, and changed, and then we went and jumped in the creek, and you got to experience the cold plunge. And what I'm impressed with Annie is she said, I wouldn't, there's a couple steep parts on Crow Peak, and then you said you would have never went and jumped in the creek like we did. Well, we didn't jump in the creek, people. We walk. I said, here's the deal. You gotta rip the Band-Aid off. When you get in the water, there is no stopping. You just don't slowly go in. You got to go to the deep end quick. Yep. And you guys did that.
Yeah, you're a good encourager. You pushed me to the limits on a lot of things that last weekend. So and I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, I didn't think Annie was going to do the cold plunge. I don't even think we asked her if she wanted to.
No.
And
I was like, what about my shoes? I want to
go. Yeah, no way did I ever think that she was going to do that. But yeah, we all three of us, we jumped in there, and I think it was 3 minutes we stayed in there, and it was we were yep. chilly at the end. I don't know how cold that creek is, but it's mountain water flowing past your body. It is freezing cold.
My body felt like it was on fire when I got out, like burning. It definitely got to the core.
But did you stay cool most of the way home too?
Yeah.
Did you feel it come out of your body? Like, that's what I love about jumping in there and staying in there, and because it feels like even when your skin warms up on the outside, like after an hour or so, it still feels like the muscles are still letting the coolness come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to explain, but that's why I love just go jump in there, just hang in there, and then don't take a shower or anything. Just dry off, change your clothes, and warm up slowly. And you get, I honestly think you get about 4 hours or longer of just staying cool.
Well, and I just can't imagine the health benefits. I mean, just that whole time we went straight back to your place, changed, then did the podcast. And I just like that energy and the vibe, and your body was just kind of like rejuvenated and excited. It's like a big jolt of caffeine. I don't know. It was, for me anyways, I just felt very, very much alive and energetic, and my body was like thriving and working. It was cool.
Especially after doing a climb up the mountain, your muscles are all sore, and they're at least our muscles aren't used to that type of thing. Yeah. And I think that cold plunge, it probably helped, to relieve some of that soreness that was potentially going to come on. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I truly believe that too. That's why I like to jump in and cool off. And it's not right away, but cool off. I'm not telling everybody what to do, but I just haven't had inflammation problems. I don't do it like we talked about. I wouldn't do it with snow on the ground. That's just not me. I might do a cold plunge in my bathtub, but I'm not going to go jump in a freezing, like because in spearfish, the creek freezes from the bottom up. When we talked about that, I'm not going to slip and fall and hurt my head. There's other things that can go on there, but I just think that it's a good thing to go do. And I miss Dr. Jensen because we used to do the fire and ice, but we'll do that. But I'm looking forward for you guys to come back out again. I mean, I sent you a video this morning of the sunrise and wishing you guys were here. And I want you to know that I think about you guys. And you sent me one that you guys were out on the walk. And I appreciate that because there's a friendship here that is, like I said, it's now you're part of the Don't Die Rusty family. And that's the way it is. And I enjoy I enjoy that we think similarly, and I enjoy that we don't you don't realize when you're doing podcasts or episodes, because people don't really say much. They just you listen, but I don't get any feedback at times, and it's fun to get the feedback and to know that you guys listen, and you like it makes you feel good inside, and then to be able to have you guys come out and experience DDR and experience what I'm trying to give the world, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, I hope that we're not the only ones that are enjoy what you're doing. And I hope that if there's other people out there that they contact you as well and let you know that it's affecting them. You know, it's because it's huge when you can affect somebody's life. You know, I think the first time I met you when at TAC there, I told you, I said, you changed my life. Like your podcast changed my life in several different ways. And, you know, I truly don't think that I'd be this healthy right now. And it's only been since March and it's August now. I definitely wouldn't be this healthy without hearing what you have to say. I think just listening to your podcast just gets me outdoors even more. You know, I already loved it, but it gets me out there more, you know.
Well, and it's changed our family too. Like I started the health journey before you for medical health reasons, and then you listened to the podcast and got into it, and then it in turn our teamwork led into our family, and it's changed our entire household. So it's been a huge impact on our family. So we thank you.
Yeah, and my my extended family is even talking about it to us too. Like, what are you doing? Where did you find all this? You know, and we get to tell them. So
Well, I love spreading the word there, and we need to thank Ziggy Cordum from Bucks and Bales for like that's where we both have the same. You know, he called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" And then he found out that I was a bow hunter and this and that, and then you're good friends with Ziggy too, so that's very cool.
yeah, it's really neat how the whole relationship started. You know, that with Ziggy. I mean, it was just a fluke thing that we got invited to a pumpkin carving deal with our kids. And Ziggy called me up a few months later, like several months later, and asked me if I wanted to go hunting with him at Camp Ripley in Minnesota. And I immediately said yes. You know, I barely knew the guy and just said yes. And that you know that's how our relationship started, and we've been going to this hunt ever since for the past 7 or 8 years. And then for him to call you up, just listening to one of your podcasts, must have touched him, and I listened to his podcast, and that's how I got to hear you, and that's how our relationship started. Was all because of Ziggy and some pumpkin carving get together we were supposed to be at. So
just listening to you say that all back, it makes me feel like if you want to think about the Don't Die Rusty motto in life, I did not know those girls very well from a homeschool co-op, and I just got invited, and I didn't know anybody, and it happened to be a couple's thing. We could bring our kids, so I took that leap, and then that leap led to Ziggy calling you a couple months later, a total stranger, and you just said, yes, I'll go. And then you took that leap, and just all these things, you just you don't know what this adventure is going to take you on, what's going to come out of it. You don't know these people. And then you met him and you just said, yeah, I'll come stay at your house and I'll bring my wife and we'll do these crazy things. Like just taking those leaps in life, and saying, yes, I will do them. And so many rewards out of it. And then it just makes you feel so good. And the things you would have missed out on if you didn't do it. So.
And I forgot about us talking about the saying yes part too, because, you know, in life, we take a lot of chances. Like, you come into a guy's house that you barely even know, you know me from it, maybe talking on podcasts, but you don't, and maybe talking 20, maybe 25 minutes, if that, at TAC. And, well, we're going to just go stay at his house. And it's like, what if he is a serial killer or something? We don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
and you're
awesome,
married, but your wife happened to be out of town, and it was just also suspicious. It was.
Let me take you out to the middle of nowhere and we'll try to find elk.
Well, yeah, and it's funny that my wife also said it's funny that you have people coming out and I'm not here either. So I was kind of stuck in the middle there, but she was up seeing her son, and she's she's going to be a grandma and enjoying life with her son just before he was going to be a dad, and that's what life's about, is being rewarded from living a good life. And she, I mean, I encouraged her. I said, your son's going to Connor's going to have a baby here in September, and you need to go hang out with him because life's going to change, and take these 4 days and enjoy life, because then it's grandma life too, and some of the best and don't take me, even though I like Alaska. Don't take me, because the conversations that you have with anybody alone, those are precious times. And I will remember my mom and my conversations in vehicles and other private times, that you don't talk in front of other people at those times. And you probably have those with your kids, when you're alone with one of them, you have a private conversation there that they don't want to talk in front of maybe our brother, sister, friend, dad, mom, whatever, and those are the times that are precious in this life.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nice. I think we had talked about that too in your guys' relationship. It's like you kind of let her go do her thing and she lets you do your thing, and it's just a great example of what, and then you guys do things together. It's just a good balance. I think you guys are
It is
a good example of that.
And it's the saying yes, and it's the, like, without saying yes and coming out here, you would not have got to experience, without me saying, hey, come on out anytime, those are the things that more people need to say yes, instead of worry about, we get closed in, and, well, what if the neighbor mows his lawn and I didn't have my lawn? I'm just using this as an example. I didn't have mine mowed, but you know what? I can mow when I get back from that adventure. I don't care what's going on in this town. Or you go to coffee. I mean, like, in little towns, you go to coffee. What am I going to miss? Well, you talked about the same problems yesterday, and you'll probably talk about the same problems tomorrow. And so go on those adventures. Go live your best life. And I love that we got to do that, and we get to do that, and we're going to do more, because I'm excited, like, to take you up on a snowy day too, and I'm excited to see where this friendship goes, because you can't have a friendship if you don't try to start a friendship. So take those chances.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't just put yourself out there, and it doesn't even have to be a friendship, but just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you're never going to know if you like it or not. You just have to try to experience new things, and if you don't like it, don't do it again.
Yeah, I feel like coming back from that weekend, it has motivated us even more to, well, continue in our health journey, for one, just because we were very surprised at how our bodies performed and how we couldn't have done that a few months prior, and let alone got ourselves to do it. And then to suffer through it, and I wouldn't say suffer through it, but like push through it and then get to the top and have the reward. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm just like, I want to continue to eat healthy and I want to continue to build my muscles, and not just to like look good, but to feel good and to be able to experience life. And I just came away from that weekend feeling very alive and very proud of myself for performing that way because of how I've taken the change in my life to be healthier. I want everyone to feel that. That's why I'm so excited about it.
And I do too. And it's funny because I set my alarms I want my alarm to go off at certain times, so I know we need to either speed up or we're doing all right or where we are. And you heard the alarm go off, and I'm giving you kudos there, Annie, because we had to haul just a little bit, go a little bit faster, and I started pushing a little bit harder, and you were amazing, and that was awesome, and we got there in a good amount of time, but I just don't want us to miss that part of the sunrise. And so we pushed hard in the last little bit, and you were impressive.
Well, I had you in front of me, and I really couldn't look up because I was very scared of heights. Kind of looked at my surroundings right in front of me with my headlamp. Then I had Dave behind me, so I had a lot of motivation to just keep on going.
Yeah. I had a stick back there. I was cracking the whip.
No, and the good conversation helped too. We had a lot of good talk, so that was good.
And it just about makes me someday think about having a DDR summit weekend or something where you get a bunch of like-minded people together and just kind of do that kind of enjoyable stuff, because I learned so much from you guys, and I got inspired that we are doing a good thing here at Don't Die Rusty, and to you make me happy to know that,
Yep.
Good. You should feel that way.
Well, we appreciate you, Rick.
Well, thank you. Now I'll go tell Cindy that you said that, so maybe she'll say it to me. And I'm just kidding. No, I have a very great wife, and I tell her that all the time. But I'm going to when we get to the end of the episode, now you've had another week to think. Before I ask that, so how was your trip home? Because the funny thing about the episode, the lost episode, we can say, is I was in a hurry because I had to get Cindy from the airport because she was in Alaska, but I was wondering, how was your trip home? How did did you have good conversations? And I know Dave fell asleep.
I'm sleeping.
Annie drove to what do you drive to? Chamberlain, I think. Yeah. She drove for a couple hours while I slept. So because we got up pretty early that morning. But
yes, we did.
But yeah, our conversation.
We stopped for lunch before we left. What was that called?
Yeah, we stopped over by Sawyer's there. It was a farm. It was a white place.
Oh, the
yeah,
farm.
That was really good.
Yeah, we had a good lunch over there, and and then we started home, and yeah, I fell asleep right away.
It was uneventful. It was good.
Yeah.
The house was still intact when we got home, so that was always good. Kids were alive.
Oh, that is good feeling there. Nobody had black eyes or a bloody nose, did they?
Nope.
The house was even clean, so that was good.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So no, I love the adventure, and I hope we have more, and I hope we can talk about more with more people about these kind of experiences. So, but when we get to the end of the episode, we ask this final question, and now you've had a week to think about this. Not really, because I called you this morning and said we need to do another episode because Rick screwed up somehow. And anyway, but what's the good life to Dave, and what's the good life to Annie?
Yeah, so I feel like I've had a long time to think about this since I started listening to your episodes. I ask myself just about every time I listen to an episode, what's the good life to myself? And I think it changes on a weekly basis. It maybe not a weekly basis, but definitely changes all the time. But I I have my family. I've got five kids, and they're definitely part of my good life. And we have a lot of adventures together. And but I think really the good life to me is just living the don't die rusty philosophy, and you know getting yourself healthy and getting yourself to be able to just enjoy the outdoors. And um or it doesn't even have to be the outdoors, just whatever it is. But the outdoors are special to me. And hunting and fishing and scuba diving and just all the outdoors hobbies that I have. And I just love that now I can enjoy it even more. Just having this this health journey under control, and being able to, like I said, just get up off the couch and actually go do something. When something arises, you say yes and you go do it instead of making an excuse. So, yeah.
Hard to follow. Yeah, he summed that up really well. Living the good life to me, I think, is as a mom and a wife, and it is just about my relationship with my husband and my kids. Obviously, those are the most important to me. And then my family, my extended family, and just making sure I enjoy all the moments together with all of them. Every moment. It could be small, it can be big. Being present and not worrying all the time or thinking about the fear of missing out or what's next or all those things. Just being present, enjoying the small things. I enjoy just sitting on the couch with my kids and looking at them. Look at the beautiful creatures that they are, and enjoying the walks together or just riding in the car together. And then you've got the big experiences of, hiking with Dave and our morning and evening walks, and just being present is the biggest thing for me, I think. And then, from a homeschooling perspective is, I just feel like it means everything in my life to raise good boys. Someday they are going to leave the nest and they're going to be fathers. They're going to be hard workers is what I'm training them to be, and just good people on this earth. And that's a huge goal of mine. And I feel very blessed to be doing it. And then just teaching them also just about faith and religion and what they believe in and what their purpose on this life is and why we're here. And so, yeah, just being present and fulfilling my dream of raising my children and having a family and doing everything I can to foster that. It makes me very happy. It brings a lot of joy.
Well, I like both of those, and I was going to get to the faith part too, and I forgot to, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing that I think I like our similar views on that stuff too, because it's becoming a bigger part of Don't Die Rusty in a little bit more, but it's always been there. But that's an important part of life, and is to believe in something bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're getting to those points. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
It is awesome. And to watch a strong woman handle 6 boys, well, 5 boys and 1 husband, and that's awesome too. So, I appreciate that, because we're in the same, I mean, we have same views and stuff. That makes me very, very happy. And a lot of times, in the Don't Die Rusty, when we get to that question, it's about the good people. And then thank you for being in the circle now. I appreciate
Thank you for
that.
letting us. You have a lot of cool people on your podcast, and I didn't think we were that cool. So, so thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. It's nice to be in the DDR family.
Well, it's the conversations that we had, we've had a lot of good conversations, and we'll have more, and hopefully we'll have another episode that won't go awry. But I want maybe when we have a slight snow on the trees and the sparkling and the fresh morning and a nice climb up the mountain. But no, I truly appreciate you two, and I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate where the forward friendship is going, So, but you guys are awesome, awesome couple. People should. I truly look at you and say, how does Annie do it, and how does Dave do it? And I mean, I've never experienced children from baby to adult, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And this boy doesn't like to work in that aspect is because I've never changed a diaper in my whole life, and I just go like this. Like with my sisters, being the good uncle I am, I would play with them, and then I'd say, "Here, I think it needs change."
You hand them off. You're just like my father-in-law.
That's it.
I'm sure you've got your.
That's being a good uncle.
Yeah, you've got your strengths in other ways. You'll get them outdoors, and benefit it later.
Yeah. There we go. So, but I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast, and I enjoyed this whole conversation. And I hope we have many more.
Yep.
So do we.
Thank you for inviting us on the podcast, and thank you for inviting us out and showing us a good DDR experience.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. So, don't die, Rusty Nation. Keep chasing your dreams, being the best you, and don't die rusty.
Thank you for listening to the Don't Die Rusty podcast with your hosts, Rick Hanson and Ricky Bruley. The Don't Die Rusty podcast is written and produced by Rick Hanson and Ricky Bruley. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Don't Die Rusty. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question for the Ricks? Send us an email at don'tdierusty@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Don't Die Rusty podcast wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.